This tutorial will help you find articles for your research in Ebsco. We're going to focus on two scholarly databases, Academic Search Ultimate, which is a multidisciplinary large database with many full-text articles, and Greenfile, which is focused on environmental issues. How do you find these? Well, you can start from the library's homepage. We make it easy by putting an Ebsco button there. You can also use your course guide to find the databases in Ebsco that I talk about today. So here's that Ebsco button. We're just going to click on that, and it will take us out, after we log in, because I'm off campus, to the Ebsco Advanced Search screen. And by default, it goes to Academic Search Ultimate. That's our most popular database, and it's one of the largest in Ebsco. But I'm going to click on the Choose Databases link and add Greenfile to this search. So we're going to scroll down. These are in alphabetical order. And I find Greenfile. And then I can either go up or down and hit OK. So now I'm searching those two databases simultaneously. The topic that I'm going to research today is light pollution. And I'm especially interested in the effects of light pollution on plants. And I did that, this looked easy, but picking your keywords is not always easy. In library databases, you're better off using specific keywords rather than questions or complete sentences. So you want to focus in on the most important words that define your topic. There are some limiters that show up further down the page. I have a tendency to do my search first, get the result list, and then decide which limiters I want to use. So I'm going to do that today. I'm just going to hit search, and then I'll get a result list. The result list comes up, and as I said, we got over 2,000 articles. And I happen to know for this assignment, your professors would prefer that you use fairly recent articles. So these go all the way back to 1960. I'm going to use this date limiter to narrow it down to the articles that were published in the time frame of the last 10 years. So it's updating the list. Now we're down to about 1,700 articles. Another limiter you might be interested in is the limiter for scholarly peer-reviewed journals. This will get you substantive research on this topic, which I know is not absolutely required for this assignment, but that your professors would prefer that you have articles that have scientific information and that have been based on research. So I am going to check that for now, and it'll update again and limit my list to just down to 1,600. As I said, these two databases are pretty scholarly, so for the most part, that's what comes up. Now, when you go through your result list, you can scroll down, and you can get to the articles themselves in a number of ways, depending upon the article. Sometimes there's a linked full text button, and you click on that, and it brings up the article. It actually goes out to a different database and brings it up. Sometimes you'll see a PDF full text button. Link, and I'm going to click on that one. That's probably one of the more common links that you'll see. And it actually brings you up a PDF of the article. And in addition to using the Acrobat tools to download or print, Ebsco also provides you with tools along the right-hand column that I wanted you to see. You can get a permalink to the article. You can email it to yourself. You can print it. And there's a citation tool that might be of help as you do your research. So you can look for the citation format that you're going to be using and get the information here. Be sure to check those over. You can do a cut and paste and it'll save you some typing, but they can't always be trusted to be exactly right. The information comes from the publisher, and sometimes it pays to get to know your citation format and make sure that you check those over and review them. I'm going to go back to the result list because there's one other way that you can get to articles, and that occurs like this one, where the article is indexed in this database, but there's not actually a full text link to get to the article itself. Instead, you see the Find It tool. And Find It, you'll notice it's purple and gold. That's a UWSP tool. So what it's trying to do is to see if you can find it at UWSP. If I click on that link, it goes out to our catalog and checks to see if maybe we subscribe to this from a different source. and you'll see the article comes up at the top. Sometimes instead of saying no full text available, there will actually be a link here that you can click and then it will go out to the article. If there is no link, like in this case, but you'd really like to see this article, you can order it through interlibrary loan. So if I clicked here, I'd log in, and then it would take me out to a form that I can fill out, and we'll get it for you from another library. So I'm going to close this. And so now I'm back at the Ebsco result list, and I could continue to scroll down, find the information that I need, print it, look at it. The other thing you might do is if you find a good article, you know, an article that really is looking at, is interesting, really helps you with your research, you can select that article, and then I would suggest taking a look at the subject terms and the keywords. And especially if you haven't found enough, look at the type of keywords that they're using. Especially in the scientific article keywords, you'll sometimes see terminology that you might not use on a general basis. You probably won't use with the students that you're teaching or in your lesson plans, but that something like light emitting diodes is not something I would have come up with to be able to search, but that the scientific world uses that terminology, and that sometimes you'll get more focused articles by moving into some of that scientific terminology when you're doing research in on environmental issues. So that's just one hint for finding additional keywords. One example of the type of thing that can happen, maybe you're doing your research on the topic of fracking, and that is the terminology that we tend to hear on a regular basis in the general news and text. But as you look at scientific articles, you will see that the terminology used in that world is hydraulic fracturing, and that can be useful to know. And if you go back in and use that subject terminology, you'll find additional links often. I want to make sure that you remember the course guide and that realize that there are links to these Ebsco databases on that guide. And if you still have trouble finding things, don't hesitate to ask. You can ask me, or you can ask any librarian by using the chat or text options on the library's homepage. Good luck with your research, and be sure and ask us if you need help.